Thank you very much. Today, as we face this critical election for our country, I launch my manifesto for Britain's future. A manifesto to see us through Brexit and beyond. A plan for a stronger, fairer, more prosperous Britain. A plan to seize the opportunities ahead and to build a country that our children and grandchildren are proud to call home. It is a detailed programme for government, rooted in the hopes and aspirations of ordinary working people across the land. But it is more than that. It is a vision for Britain, a portrait of the kind of country I want this nation to be after Brexit, as we chart our own way in the world. For at this defining moment for the United Kingdom, as we embark on this momentous journey for our nation, we have a chance to step back and ask ourselves what kind of country we want to build together. I believe that our United Kingdom can emerge from this period of national change stronger, fairer, and more prosperous than ever before. I believe we can be a country that stands tall in the world and provides leadership on some of the greatest challenges of our time. And I believe we can and must take this opportunity to build a great meritocracy here in Britain. Now, let me be clear about what that means. It means making Britain a country where everyone, of whatever background, has the chance to go as far as their talent and their hard work will take them. A country that asks not where you have come from, but where you are going to. It means making Britain a country that works not for the privileged few, but for everyone. A country where it doesn't matter where you were born, who your parents are, where you went to school, what your accent sounds like, what God you worship, whether you're a man or a woman, gay or straight, or black or white. A country in which all that matters is the talent you have and how hard you're prepared to work. And that is the kind of Britain I want us to build together. Because as we leave the European Union and set ourselves a new course, we need to make the most of all the talent in this country. For Britain to succeed, we need to unleash the ability of every person, harness the creativity of every business, support the ambition and entrepreneurialism of every sector. We need to embrace the opportunities before us with confidence, believing in Britain and in the enduring power of the British spirit. And we need to look forward, not back, believing that despite our great heritage, we have an even greater future, and that we can build that brighter future together. Let us be in no doubt, it will not be easy. There will be obstacles in our way. There will be some who wish us to fall short, others who wish to hold us back, many who will us to fail. But with discipline and focus, effort and hard work, and above all, a unity of purpose stretching across this precious union of nations, from north to south and east to west, I believe we can and must go forward together. To do that, we need a new contract between government and people. We need a government that is strong enough to act and humble enough to listen, responsive enough to people's needs, and stable enough to get on with the job and deliver. And we need to unite behind a clear plan to make the most of the opportunities ahead. That is what this manifesto offers, a clear plan to meet the big challenges we face together. A credible, deliverable programme for government around which the country can unite. A plan that, unlike the offerings of other parties, is upfront and honest about the scale of the task we face. What we say in it, we will do, and the scale of our ambition is clear. Because it is the responsibility of leadership to be upfront and straight with people about the challenges ahead, about the difficult decisions and trade-offs that need to be made, and the hard work required to overcome the obstacles in our way. And that is what this manifesto does. It identifies the 5 great giant challenges that we face as a country. Need for a strong economy. 2, responding to Brexit and a changing world. 3, tackling enduring social divisions. 4, responding to an ageing society. And 5, facing up to fast-changing technology. And it sets out what we will do to address each one. And in doing so, it offers a vision for Britain, not just for the next 5 years, but for the years and decades ahead. A stronger Britain, where everyone has the economic security they need and the chance to live a secure and full life. A more prosperous Britain, where each generation can do better than the last. But all of this depends on getting the next 5 years right. Make no mistake, the central challenge we face is negotiating the best deal for Britain in Europe. Our future prosperity, our place in the world, our standard of living, the opportunities we want for our children and our children's children. Each and every one depends on having the strongest possible hand as we enter those negotiations in order to get the best Brexit deal for families across this country. If we fail, the consequences for Britain and for the economic security of ordinary working people will be dire. If we succeed, the opportunities ahead of us are great. I've negotiated for Britain in Europe, and I know that the best place to start is to be clear about where you stand and what you want. That's why I have been clear that we do not seek to fudge this issue, to be half in and half out of the EU. The British people made their choice. I respect that. And I respect the view of the other European leaders who agree we can't be half in, half out either. So we will leave the European Union. All of our money, take control of our borders, take control of our laws. We will forge a new deep and special partnership with Europe, but reach out beyond Europe to strike new trade deals for our goods and services with old allies and new friends around the world too. We will make the decisions that matter to Britain here in Britain and be a great global trading nation that stands tall in the world once again. And if we get Brexit right, we can use this moment of change to build a stronger, fairer, more prosperous Britain here at home. That is the real prize, the goal towards which we must work. Because for too many people in Britain today, life is simply much harder than many seem to think or realise. They're not ideological. They don't buy into grand visions. They aren't fooled by politicians who promise the earth and claim no tough choices are required. They make those choices every day in their own lives and understand that politicians who aspire to lead must do the same. They don't ask for much. They just want to get on with their lives, to do the best for their children and to be given a fair chance. And they look to their government for help and support. This party, the Conservative and Unionist Party, will be that government. For while it is never true that government has all the answers, government, put squarely at the service of ordinary working people, can and should be a force for good. A force that steps up and acts in the interests of ordinary working people, that does not ignore them or walk on by on the other side, but serves the interests of the mainstream of the British public. With the right Brexit deal secured, my mainstream government will deliver for mainstream Britain. All those who work hard and make this country what it is. People who have a job but don't always have job security. People who own their home but worry about paying the mortgage. People who can just about manage but worry about the cost of living and getting their children into a good school. And that is why the government I lead will ensure that every area of this United Kingdom is able to prosper with a modern industrial strategy to spread opportunity across the whole country. Why the government I lead will build a Britain in which work pays, with a higher national living wage and proper rights and protections at work. Why the government I lead will keep taxes low and cap rip-off energy tariffs to help families who are working all the hours they can to pay the bills. Why we will help those struggling to afford a home of their own by building more affordable homes. It's why the government I lead will build a Britain in which the economy is strong to support world-class public services, with the most ambitious programme of investment in technology and buildings the NHS has ever seen. Record and fair funding for schools, real technical education for young people, and the first ever proper plan to pay for and provide social care. Because strong public services don't just provide security and enhance opportunity, they are vital local and national institutions that bring us all together. And it is why the government I lead will be relentless in tackling burning injustices like discrimination on the basis of race, gender, mental health or disability. For injustice is a scar on the soul of our nation, and I will fight it wherever it is found. So, for example, we will introduce the first new mental health bill for 30 years to put parity of esteem at the heart of treatment and end the stigma of mental illness once and for all. But most important of all, the government I lead will provide strong and stable leadership to see us through Brexit and beyond, tackling the long-term challenges we face and ensuring everyone in our country has the chance to get on in life. We need that strong and stable leadership now more than ever. For the next 5 years will be among the most challenging in our lifetime, a defining period for our nation, a turning point for Britain that will determine the kind of country we are and the kind of future the generations that come after us will see. That is why now, more than ever, Britain needs strong and stable government. Why now, more than ever, Britain needs strong leadership to make the most of the opportunities Brexit will bring. Now, more than ever, Britain needs a clear plan and the determination and the will to see it through. And it is why, more than in any before, it is time to put the old tribal politics behind us and to come together in the national interest, united in our desire to make a success of Brexit, united in our desire to get the right result for Britain, because every vote for me and my team in this election will strengthen my hand in the negotiations to come. Every vote for me and my team will be a vote to get on with the job of delivering Brexit and delivering a stronger, more secure future for all. Every vote for me and my team will be a vote for a stronger, fairer, more prosperous Britain. And after all that has passed, that is a vision of the future that can bring us together. So I offer myself as your Prime Minister, with a resolute determination to get on with the job of delivering Brexit, optimism that I can get a deal that works for all, and confident in the belief we have the vision, the plan and the will to use this moment to build a better Britain, with the right deal for Britain abroad, taking back control of our borders, our money and our laws, and a better deal for ordinary working people at home. A modern industrial strategy to spread prosperity and opportunity around the country, exploiting the opportunities of technology to attract the jobs of the future to Britain, relief on family energy bills and the cost of living, more secure, well-paid jobs and new protections for workers, the chance to own a home and more affordable housing, a good school place for every child with more money for schools every year, a strong economy to fund our NHS and give you the security you need, a stronger, fairer, more prosperous Britain that works for everyone, not just a privileged few. That is the goal, that is the plan, and now is the time. So join me on this journey. Come with me as I lead Britain. Strengthen my hand as I fight for Britain, and stand with me as I deliver for Britain. And with confidence in ourselves and a unity of purpose in our country, let's all go forward together. Now, I apologise because I see the media at the back of the room. Laura.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Laura Kunsberg, BBC News. You are ditching much of the manifesto that you and your party stood on just 2 years ago. More families, including traditional Tory voters, will have to pay more for elderly care. Many families will lose hot meals for their children at school, just at a time when people are feeling the pinch. You're pushing back balancing the books again, and your immigration proposals might cost billions to the economy. Now, when you put that all together, wouldn't some voters be quite entitled to conclude that adds up to quite a bleak picture that you're putting forward?
No, not at all. What I'm putting forward is a vision for opportunity and prosperity across the whole of the country for the future. I've been clear there are some hard choices that need to be taken. But actually, that's what strong and stable government and leadership is about. It's making sure we're honest with the public about the hard choices. But if you look at what we're doing, that first time ever, a proper plan, a long-term plan for social care to ensure that old people have dignity in old age, but a plan that is fair across the generations. Yes, ensuring that we're putting more money into our schools and giving every primary school child a breakfast before they start their school day to set their school day off well. Ensuring that we're putting more money into our NHS, as I say, the biggest ever investment in technology and buildings in our National Health Service. But you can only do that if we have a strong economy. And having that strong economy is central to what we as Conservatives do in government. And to do that, we also need to make sure we get the Brexit negotiations right. So having that right leadership to take us in with a strong hand in the negotiations is so important. And that's why I say every vote for me and my team will strengthen my hand in those Brexit negotiations to get the best deal for Britain. Did I see Faisal there? Yes.
Yes, Faisal Islam, Sky News. Prime Minister, in the manifesto on page 36, you repeat, we continue to believe that no deal is a better than a bad deal for the UK. Is this document a mandate for no deal? Are voters who vote for you accepting that a possibility within the 5 years is that there could be no deal? And is that not the definition of potential chaos?
This manifesto is a mandate, and this election, I want to give a mandate for a strong hand in the negotiations to get the best possible deal for the UK, and by that I mean the best possible deal for every part of the United Kingdom. But to do that, we need a strong hand in the negotiations, and that's why, as I just said, I say every vote for me and my team is a vote that will strengthen my hand in those Brexit negotiations. We want to get the best deal for Britain. We want to get a deal that works for every part of the United Kingdom, and that's what we're determined to do. Did I see Andy Bell? Yes.
I'm sorry. Thank you very much, Prime Minister. Andy Bell, Channel 5 News. Prime Minister, do you accept under your social care plan that the majority of people currently receiving care in their own homes will actually end up worse off under your plan? And isn't that symptomatic of much of this manifesto, which is you're turning your back a bit on the traditional Middle England that's put the Conservatives into power because at this election you think you can find votes elsewhere?
This is the first time that we've seen a proper long-term plan for the sustainability of social care in this country. This is one of the great challenges that we face with an ageing population, and it's right that anybody who wants to be Prime Minister, any party that wants to be in government, faces up to that challenge and sets it out clearly for people. What will we see as a result of the proposals that we're making? We'll see that those elderly people who've been worried about how they pay for care in their home won't have to worry about that in future. They won't have to pay while they're still alive. Nothing will be paid. They won't have to sell their home while they're living in it. What we also see is that those people who are worried that their savings are going to have done the right thing and saved through their life and worry their savings will dwindle to virtually nothing, we're quadrupling the threshold at which assets will be protected to that £100,000. But what else do I expect to see from this? I expect to see actually an improvement in the quality of social care that is available to people. I expect people to be able to stay in their own homes longer, and that will mean less pressure on the NHS. I think I saw Gary in front of you. Yes.
Thank you very much. You said you wanted to be straight, and can I just ask you, following on from the previous question, everybody says there is a cost to getting net migration down, an economic cost. Have you costed it? What is it? Is it in billions? You said you want to, throughout the manifesto, you're saying you want to close injustice gaps. Isn't there a danger that you're creating a whole new one between children of slightly better off parents who maybe die of a heart attack or are treated for a certain type of medical condition and slightly better off children of someone who has dementia? It looks like they get very different treatment under a Theresa May government under these plans. And just one more, throughout the manifesto, you seem to give business quite a hard time. Energy companies with big names have slightly conned their customers. House builders have been building pretty grotty houses, you say. Do you think the Conservatives over the years have got too cosy with business and business has been too greedy?
Well, first of all, you put quite a few issues in that question, I have to say, Gary. I think that was rather more than the one question which most people are asking. Just to pick up on the immigration issue, I think it is right that we want to bring net migration to sustainable levels. We say those are in the tens of thousands because of the impact that uncontrolled migration has on people, particularly at the lower end of the income scale, because it can hold down people's wages, it can mean a displacement of jobs, and also it puts pressure on public services. And so what we are saying is, yes, we want to increase the immigration skills charge, but that is because then that money can be put into ensuring that people here are being trained up to be able to take the jobs. I want to see people here having the skills to take on these jobs while we still have a system that brings the brightest and the best into the United Kingdom, and that's exactly what we will be doing. In terms of the question of business, I think we absolutely clearly set out in this manifesto the key thing that we want to do for business, which is to ensure that we have that strong economy and that we want to be the best place for businesses to be set up, to grow and to provide those jobs and investment here in the United Kingdom. But we do believe in responsible business. And I think if you talk to business people, they will also say that it's better to have an engaged workforce that is a content workforce that increases and improves productivity. And that's why I think it's right to say that we need to ensure that workers have proper protections. But we do also want to ensure that we set that economic framework in which business creates jobs. Since 2010, 2.9 million jobs have been created. We see employment at record levels, employment higher now than it has been since records began, and unemployment lower than it's been since the mid-1970s. That's what a strong economy can do, and we need to build on that for the future. Did I see LBC? Is Theo here? Yes.
Prime Minister, are you trying to redefine what it means to be a Conservative? And to your critics on social care who say that you may be trying to implement a death tax, what would be your reasoning to them to tell them that it isn't a death tax?
What we're proposing on social care is the first ever proper plan to ensure the sustainability of social care. This is a real challenge that faces us. This is a challenge that has been ducked by governments for too long. We are prepared to stand up to that challenge and put forward this plan, which, as I say, will protect a higher level of assets than is currently protected for individuals, will take away the worry from people about how they're going to pay for their care and whether their savings are going to be depleted to virtually nothing, and I think will lead to an improvement in social care. But what we believe in is, yes, ensuring we're providing a system that provides people with dignity in their old age, but doing it in a way that is fair across the generations. I think The Guardian is here. Is Heather here from The Guardian? Yes. Hi. I think there's a microphone coming to you.
Hi there. So you're going to means test the winter fuel allowance for pensioners. You're going to replace the triple lock guarantee on the basic state pension with a less generous double lock, and wealthier pensioners are going to have to pay more for their care, including care at home. You talked about being upfront about the challenges. Are you being upfront with older people, with pensioners, that they've done quite well out of the last decade or so and they need to bear more of the costs of the kind of fair society that you're talking about?
Well, I think if you actually look in the manifesto, when we set out what we're doing in relation to the pensions triple lock, we make the point that that was introduced at a time when there was a significant disparity in relation to pensioners' incomes. But now what we see as a result of the changes that have been made, that in relation to the basic state pension, an increase of £1,250 a year. And what some older people worry about is actually now a disparity for the younger generation, and, well, will they be better off in the future? Pensions will continue to go up under a Conservative government. We will have a double lock, which will ensure that pensions will go up either at the rate of average earnings or inflation, whichever is the higher, so that pensioners will continue to be protected against rising prices. But I think it is important that we ensure that changes that we bring in are changes that are fair across the generations. Tom.
Prime Minister Tom Newton-Dunn from The Sun. You're taking money off rich pensioners and giving it to poorer younger families. You're delighting in using the power of big government to beat up on rip-off businesses. You're eschewing traditional right-wing Tory dogma like libertarianism, the sort of stuff that might horrify some of your cabinet sitting there in front of you privately. Do you accept that you are moving to the political centre ground, and are you proud of your new moniker, a red Tory?
Look, the Conservative Party has always been on the centre ground. What do we believe in? We believe in managing the economy carefully. We believe in spending taxpayers' money responsibly. We believe in encouraging business and investment that can create good, high-paid jobs. We want to see a good school place for every child so that young people get the best possible start in life. We want to ensure that we've got the economy to fund the support in public services that people need through the NHS and other services. These are all good principles that have underpinned conservatism and continue to underpin conservatism. But crucially, we want to give people opportunity. We want to encourage aspiration. We want, under a Conservative government, how far you go in life depends on you, your talents and your hard work, not where you came from. I think, did I see Jason from the Mail there? Yes.
Hi, Jason Gross from the Daily Mail. You've put leaving the single market in your manifesto. Would you expect those in your party and those in the House of Lords who oppose that to drop their opposition to that if you win? And can I just ask, in the sort of theme of the day, do you consider yourself a Thatcherite?
Well, on the question of the single market, I mean, What we want is to have a comprehensive free trade agreement with the European Union, which is about having good, as tariff-free and frictionless access as possible to the single market. But you can't be a member of the single market without effectively still being a member of the European Union. And the British people have been clear, we shall leave the European Union. So we will be leaving the EU, but we will be negotiating the best deal we can. There are other areas where, of course, we want to continue to operate cooperate with the European Union on issues like security and justice and home affairs. And on trade, we want that comprehensive free trade agreement that will be good for businesses here in the United Kingdom, and good for jobs and good for ordinary working families here in the United Kingdom. Margaret Thatcher was a Conservative. I'm a Conservative. This is a Conservative manifesto. I think I saw Ben. Can I see Ben? Yes.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Ben Glaze from the Daily Mirror. You were elected in 2010 and 2015 on a promise to reduce net migration to the tens of thousands. That pledge is in the manifesto again today. You were Home Secretary between 2010 and 2016, and you didn't meet that pledge. Why should people believe that today?
Well, you're right. I was obviously working on this for 6 years as Home Secretary, and we saw the figures start to come down, then they went up again, now they've started to come down again. There is no single thing that you can do in relation to the net migration figures that is going to make all the difference. What you need to do is to be working at this issue constantly. And of course, what we will have when we leave the EU is the ability to put rules in for that part of the migration system that we haven't had the opportunity to control before, i.e. people coming from the European Union into the UK. I explained earlier why I think it's important that net migration should be at sustainable levels, because uncontrolled immigration has an impact on people, on public services, but also on people, particularly at the lower end of the income scale, in depressing wages and sometimes in displacing jobs. So that's why I think it is important that we maintain that commitment and continue to work on it. Yes, there was a hand that just went up at the back there.
Thank you.
Sorry, I can't see.
Louise Adamson, ARD German Television. I wanted to ask you what this manifesto tells us about you personally and your political philosophy.
Well, I think it tells me that I'm a good Conservative. And it tells you that I believe in ensuring we have a strong economy, that we have good public services funded from a strong economy, that we have opportunity for all. And crucially, I think that's the important thing here. I want to see Britain as a global Britain, standing tall in the world, trading around the world, taking our place in the world, but also a Britain where people in this country know that how far they go depends on them and their hard work and their talents. And was that Paul I saw somewhere? Paul?
Paul Ward from HuffPost. Prime Minister, Halifax voted 55% leave. And like many seats, Labour seats that you're targeting in this election, won't it be the case that if you do win these seats, those new MPs and voters will want to hold your feet to the fire to get a firm Brexit? And in that case, isn't David Cameron deluded to think the greater your majority, the greater the chance of a soft Brexit?
Well, I don't talk in terms of a hard Brexit or a soft Brexit. What I want to get is the right deal for Britain. Yeah. And that's what we're going to do. I don't know if we can get a mic up front here to this, to Nick and the...
Prime Minister, Gordon Ryan
sorry,
from The Telegraph. Sorry. You've been asked repeatedly throughout the campaign about taxes on higher earners, and you've always answered, wait for the manifesto. The manifesto doesn't really have any detail about what tax increases higher earners might face, nor whether they might face increases in national insurance. You're asking higher earners to vote for you without knowing what sort of tax rates they might be paying. So what would you say to them now that the manifesto is out and it doesn't tell them what they're going to be paying in tax?
What I would say to earners across the board is that when they come to vote at the election, they have a very clear choice. And the clear choice is between a Conservative party, which always has been, is and always will be a low-tax party, and whose intention in government is to reduce taxes on businesses and working families, and a Labour Party whose natural instinct is to increase taxes. And what we saw from the Labour Manifesto this week, with, by the way, costings that didn't appear to be worth the paper they were written on, is that it is ordinary working families who will pay the price of labour. They'll pay it through higher taxes, through lower wages, or higher prices and fewer jobs. Ordinary working people will pay the price of labour. And then my last question, I think, just here. Sorry, I don't...
Prime Minister. Just picking up on Jason Grove's questions, it is occasionally said that it's difficult to define what is meant by mayism. But if you turn to page 9 of your manifesto, it says that you reject the cult of selfish individualism and you regard rigid dogma and ideology as dangerous. That sounds like a rejection of Thatcherism. So is mayism a rejection of Thatcherism? And are you personally rejecting the many comparisons between you and Margaret Thatcher?
There is no mayism. I know you journalists like to write about it. There is good, solid conservatism, which puts the interests of the country and the interests of ordinary working people at the heart of everything we do in government. Thank you. Thank you.